Commissioners, we are live.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are at our Monday, June 23rd, 2025 County Commissioner meeting. And I would like to have everybody stand with me and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As you notice, we are missing Commissioner Maupin. She's got family business she's having to deal with today, and our prayers go out for her and her family. First item on our agenda is to approve the agenda. And I know there's some additions, so.
So you would like us to approve the agenda and then make the changes? Or approve the agenda with the changes stated?
That's correct.
Okay. I would move to approve the agenda for Monday, June 23rd with the 2:30 action item of executive session litigation moved to the 1 o'clock hour. We're going to table the 1 o'clock action item executive session until June 30th at 3:30, as well as postpone the 3:30 item, Valley Soil Water Conservation District grant item update until June 30th at 2:45. Everything else should stay the same.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Agenda is approved and updated. Next item is our action item is claims board orders, and there are no junior colleges this time. So Rita.
Good morning.
Good morning. And I read through them all. They all seem fine to me.
I don't have any questions or changes. So with that, I would move that we approve the claims board order claims for Monday, June 23rd, 2025.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Pass. How's the garden?
Growing.
Freeze anything?
No,
I think we killed.
Came close. We were 32 this morning,
that was low.
but I had them covered.
So, yeah, no. Every kind of
We had 33 at the house, and it was like, hey, I think your flowers are gonna be okay.
I'm gonna get ready for you for about 4 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
Have a good day.
You too. All right, next up, Sheriff Capari.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning, morning.
Two of you.
Morning.
So, real quick, we're just going to do a quick overview of the 2024 year. And we also invited David Carey, the unit coordinator, as well as Heather Theory, and she's a paramedic with McCall Fire, as well as came up with the winter response team, which is basically a quick response team for winter sports. They've identified on the team who's really good riders on snowmobile, backcountry, and stuff, to where they get them going right away, and then have the support crews come up behind them to start getting that. But time is the essence on all that. So to give you their report, I'd like to invite them up, and they can go over what they have taken care of over the winter.
Technology.
You're ready.
My page
Yep,
scroller.
yep.
I don't have a clicker or
Yeah,
anything.
no worries.
Okay. Good morning. I'm Heather Theory. Like Sheriff said, thanks for having us this morning. This is a presentation that I gave to our unit. So it's pretty detailed, but just only having a couple minutes. Normally it takes about 40 minutes. So I'll try to breeze over it really quickly. And then if you guys have any questions, that'll be great. So these are just some of the things we'll cover real quick. We talk a little bit about team members, our season timeline. I get a little bit nerdy with the snowpack summary, but like I said, I'll be brief. A little bit about our training, our missions, and then this was our third season for the winter response team. So I'll give a little bit of a past season comparison with some highlights, some lesson learned, and then some goals for 25-26.
How many
Yeah.
team members you actually have?
So we have 17 total team members for the winter response specifically. We had 6 new members this year. We have 3 different response levels. So we have on trail, off trail, and then hasty avalanche specific response. And each of those tiers comes with specific requirements. As you know, winter response is a little different than, say, a summer response for a motorcycle accident off trail or a missing hiker or something like that. So requires a little bit more specialized training. And then, so we have 10 off-trail responders, and then, like I said, 12 hasty avalanche responders. And then in addition to that, we have 4 on-call mission coordinators who have specific winter training, excuse me, to be able to do winter risk management and then deploy the right people who are needed for the mission that's coming, that we are being requested for. In addition to that, we do have some additional resources. We have 4 from Cascade, 2 from Donley, and 2 from McCall that aren't necessarily the people who can commit to being a part of the unit year-round, but are experts in winter sports and activities, and they have been super gracious and been of great assistance on several different missions.
Your avalanche, do you guys do avalanche training?
Yes.
You do. That's awesome.
Yep. In addition to that, also for the avalanche specific, we also have a canine team, which this season was the first season that we've had an official canine team that was able to train with our winter response team. We have had 1 deployable team all 3 years, but this year we had 3 who specialize in avalanche rescue with the canine. So, yep.
Awesome.
So this was this season's timeline. We had our earliest first day for our on-call mission coordinator, and these are people that are on call 24/7. So this year with our early snow season and the interesting snowpack that we had, we started November 24th. December 14th was our first all levels training. So I think not all 17 members could make that, but I think we had 14 out of the 17, and we all trained together. It was hosted up at Brundage, and I'll get into a little bit more about that training later. December 15th was our first mission request, and that was our avalanche fatality that was down here. January 2nd, we had 2 requests that happened at the same time, one at Coppet Creek and one at Red Ridge, so Mid-Valley and North Valley. January 3rd, we had, that very next morning, we had Johnson Creek. We did not have anyone that was able to respond to that. We only had 1 person that was able to go. That next morning, we had teams that would be ready to go, but the sheriff ended up being able to take care of that. And that was the only one that we declined for the season. January 11th was up north at Granite. And then also, sorry, that is a misprint on that January 11th there. We had an off-trail team training on January 15th. February 3rd, we had 2 call-outs again at the same time. Again, kind of at opposite ends of the valley, 1 on Lake Cascade and 1 north of town, north of McCall. February 8th, we had our second fatality, which was a snowmobile fatality out at Tyndall Meadows. February 16th, we had another call at Four Corners. February 26th was our 10th call out at Granite Lake, and then our last call out on March 29th was Anderson Creek. And then May 1st is typically our last day for the winter specific mission coordinator to be on call. This is just what our mission coordinators do tracking the winter season. It's a bunch of fun colors and stuff, but part of our risk management in the winter is making sure that we're aware of the avalanche danger Even for on-trail response, we do cross avalanche paths when we are on groomed snowmobile trails. So keeping track of the avalanche danger as far throughout the county as we can. Again, this just kind of nerds out a little bit, but we pay attention to things like snow water equivalent, weak over strong or strong over weak layers, etc. And this is something that goes on throughout. As soon as they start forecasting to the last day that they start forecasting, we're tracking those season conditions. I could talk to you about this just on its own for an hour, so we'll go to the next one. So training statistics for this season. We had 400 total hours of training. All team training this year was down a little bit from the previous years, and I can talk to that a little bit later. So we had 80 hours of training as a team as a whole. Individual training hours were 310 hours, and that just goes to show the type of people who are on the winter response specific team. These are people who are professionals in the community, ski patrollers, backcountry ski guides, avalanche educators, and they're also doing all of their trainings. These are people who are kind of submersed in the winter recreation lifestyle as it is. And then team meetings and after action reviews, we had 6 hours. And then interagency training, we had 12 hours with Air St. Luke's this year, which is also down a little bit from our previous years, which I'll talk about in the comparison.
Is there, what you guys do is just awesome. But is there any way to, and maybe you already do this, to train the public? I know that's like a huge target. But the more they can learn to get out there and be safe. I've been snowmobiling my whole life, and you see people that are just lost their minds.
Yeah.
But, I don't know if there's anything that's available to the public that can come through the sheriff's office or come through you guys to help just people to be a little more conscious out there on the trails and off trail.
Yep, and we do attend, the snowmobile fun runs as a unit. We also work closely with the Payette Avalanche Center and the Friends of the Payette Avalanche Center to do some education outreach with them. And again, 3 years feels like a long time, but it's a relatively new team.
Mm-hmm.
And so just continuing to add those opportunities, is something that's on, the list of goals to continue to try to achieve for sure. Yep. So this was our Winter Response Annual Refresher, which we do every year. These are just some of the things that we discuss and we go over. We practice avalanche rescue techniques every year. We go over and review our tiered response system, our risk assessment forms that the mission coordinators go through. We always cover radio communications and talk about where we are to hit what repeaters. Communications is definitely our most difficult, I would say, thing to overcome when we're out there. Oftentimes we start on one channel and we end up not being able to hit that repeater and have to switch. Talk about site management and ICS. We practice a lot with some new gear that we have. We have a 2-piece Akia, which is a toboggan that you can ski with or pull behind a snowmobile, but it comes in 2 pieces. So if we have to go on foot, we can split it up and carry it on our packs. We have a new hypothermia bag, which is something that this specific design is actually used with the military a lot. So we can put hypothermic patients in it and still do patient care. It's got lots of cool openings so you can keep them warm, but still be working with IV access and stuff like that, helping with splinting, taking vitals, that kind of stuff. So we practice patient packaging, and then we also got new vacuum spine boards. So they're super lightweight. They operate just like a vacuum mattress. You pull the air out and they become rigid, and they also pack down really small. So again, we can put that stuff on our backs if we need to go in on foot and get somebody out to somewhere that's accessible by a snowmobile. Okay. These are just some, we just like pictures of when we're out there because it's beautiful. Seasonal checkoff with Air St. Luke's. We participated in that at Donley Fire. And then our off-trail team day, where we covered everything from just general snowmobiling, off-trail techniques to route finding, terrain familiarization, etc. Lots of canine-specific training again this year. Like I said, we have 3 validated teams, and they trained in all 3 teams combined, ended up training in Wyoming, Colorado, Montana, Northern Idaho. Yeah, and it's, I mean, as you can see, we really love playing with the dogs. So anyone ever wants to come out and watch the dogs work or get in a dog hole, we love it. So
That's cool. That's neat.
Isn't that amazing?
So for 24-25 missions, you can see this is a combined map. The red are the missions that we actually completed. The blue are ones that we were requested for and accepted, but were canceled either en route or when we got to the trailhead. We never actually deployed out of the trailhead. And then we did have the one at Johnson Creek that I think, I can't really tell from here, but I think it's purple. That is the only one that we declined. As you can see, this year, and I'll talk a little bit about it in the 3-season comparison, we had 4 in the North Valley, which I just kind of consider as McCall kind of fire district, and then Donley Fire District being Mid Valley, and then Cascade being down here, obviously. And we had 1 in Mid Valley and 6 south, so we had 6 requests down here, which is the most that we've had yet. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. So of those, like I said, we had 11 total requests, 1 declined, 5 stood down, and 5 completed. Of those, we had 6 mechanical / stuck. Some of them said they had a mechanical problem and they were just stuck. Some of them just couldn't turn around. We had 1 known snowmobile injury. We had 1 avalanche known fatality, and then the 3 lost unknown. 2 of those we didn't have the coordinates for. 1 we didn't really know the issue. They were just overdue. So. Okay. So this year, obviously we had all of our interactions. We had the Valley County Sheriff's Office deputies. This year we had 0 with McCall Fire. We weren't requested by them at all. We had 0 with Two Bear Air. We didn't have any with Life Flight or Air St. Luke's, although they were dispatched to 1, but then ended up declining due to weather. And then we had 2 with Cascade Fire, where we actually worked with Cascade Fire crews specifically. And we didn't have any with Ski Patrol this year either, which all of those are up there because we normally spread the love around a little bit with all of those agencies. And this year it just wasn't that year, so.
Is the Two Bear Air, are those the ones out of Montana?
So here's our 3-season comparison. As you can see, we started off in the 2022-2023 season. We had 8 team members. Last season we grew to 14, and then this season we grew to 17. The first season we didn't have any on-trail, and with a new program, there were a lot of new requirements and training that we were asking people to have, or at least be interested in getting. So it took us a little bit of time, took us that first season to kind of get people a little bit more excited and get more involved. As far as members that were already a part of the unit, it was just a big jump as far as certifications and qualifications that we were asking for. And so this year, so then last year we had 6 on-trail, 8 off-trail, and then 7 avalanche-specific responders. And then this year, we did lose 1, so we had 5 on-trail, and then we jumped to 12 off-trail. And then, again, almost doubled in our avalanche response, and that's due to a lot of the qualifications that were able to be completed that could move them into that response level. Total on-call days our first season, we had 149. Last, the 2023-24 season, we had 131. And this year was our biggest season, and it was 157. And like I said, we were able to cover all 157 days with an on-call mission coordinator and like a prepared response team.
Long year.
It was a long year, yes. Total training hours, our first year we had 586 total. Last year at 492, and then this year we were down to 400. Part of that is due to the fact that our first year we did host some full team training that were American Avalanche Institute certifications for people that were getting onto the team to make sure we were all on the same page. And then last year we did our Pro AVSAR course, which was a 5-day course that Title III funds paid for. Thank you so much for approving that. It was an amazing week, and everyone learned so much.
Are all
Yeah,
these-
great.
Are all these guys volunteers, I assume?
Yeah,
And are pretty much all of them come back every year?
yeah. We've had the same core 8 people that were off trail and avalanche response from the first year. They have all returned each year.
Mhm.
Yeah, and as far as even like talking about next year already, things can change in a few months, but I send out, a questionnaire about what they would like to see next year and their interest for next year moving forward. And they were all very favorable coming back. So the education isn't being lost on people who are leaving. They're sticking around for sure.
That speaks well for the organization.
Yeah.
That does. That's awesome.
Again, so our deployment requests have stayed pretty consistent throughout the 3 years. The first 2 years we were at 10 each, and then this year we had 11. Same with the accepted. The thing that really sticks out is the on trail. We've had more on trail the first 2 seasons with some major snowmobile rentals and trauma, I would say. And so we've had a lot of requests from specifically the first 2 years from McCall Fire assisting in those. With us being able to assist in those. And then off trail has grown a little bit, but the biggest thing that stands out to me, which you could see on that map, was the number of requests that came from South Valley. The first year, all of our 10 calls were North Valley. 22-23 season was, 23-24 season was split between North and the Mid Valley. And this year, the majority of our calls were down here.
You think it's just because of the number of snowmobilers that keep coming to this area?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. We do get some more, we get a few more requests for skier help further north, but just in general, our requests are for snowmobilers across the valley. We did have the 2023-24 season, we did have 2 requests for out-of-bounds skiers at Tamarack who were lost. And I think that those requests will continue to go up as that resort expands and people still don't understand the avalanche danger that's very easily to access out those gates. So, so hits and misses. We do this every year. We always try to get our mobilization time down. Obviously, in the winter months, it's cold. Hypothermia is a big issue and concern. And then, obviously, if it's an avalanche situation, that response time needs to be as quick out the door as we can. Generally, we have about 15 minutes. Those are the general statistics. However, if somebody's buried in an avalanche, those numbers are getting longer. They had a recovery in Summit County, Colorado, that was 55 minutes for a fully buried, and he was alive and talking to them when they uncovered him. So some of that is education. People are kind of understanding how to create air pockets, how to situate themselves for success. He actually had people with him that couldn't find him, and search and rescue actually found him 55 minutes later. So, and some of that's technology. There's lots of new technology that's constantly coming out to help give people the best, opportunity for survival if they happen to get buried, which is worst case scenario. We want to avoid that at all costs, but it keeps happening. So, we're actively recruiting for a Southern response team. Like I said, we do have people who have been a little bit interested, but not really willing to commit. But talking to Chief Hull about some of his snowmobile buddies and stuff down here that have actually done some of the training with us. Hopefully we can get them to commit to actually being a response team. Because no matter how fast we're out the door, most of our responders live in McCall. And if something happens out at Deadwood, that's hours away, no matter how quick we are. So. We're going to continue to work on communications, interagency communications, and with dispatch. That keeps getting better and better every year. More training, just requested by our team members specifically, injured versus non-injured extrication. If there is a point in time when one of the fire departments can't go because they're on a structure fire or something like that, having our team be able to extricate an injured person confidently and get them to an ambulance at the trailhead is the end goal there. We've been really lucky. We've only had a couple low-angle rope scenarios, but again, more ropes training and equipment, and then working more on full WRT training and interagency training in general. Yeah, additional gear, we need a trail sled. All of us use our own personal mountain sleds. And then we do have a side-by-side. We just don't really have a great way to tow an injured person out. We do have a toboggan. It's not ideal to be pulling that behind the mountain sleds, which is why Cascade has been integral in getting some of our people out. Some of our victims out of the backcountry. We did a lot of good things this year too. Our risk management practices continue to be refined and get better and better. We've been able to request appropriate people for the mission. We've had enough people respond when we send out call-outs that we're able to keep a team in service for the next call-out, which we did have 2 back-to-back almost simultaneous call-outs, so we were talking about who was going to go where. So that was a really great win for us this last year, and we managed the avalanche hazard well all season, with some difficult approaches to different things as far as travel goes. So we did get gear, like I talked about a little bit. We got that Akia that was split in half. We got some great training with that. It was deployed on 2 missions, but ended up not being used. We have more, like I said, more medical gear for the hypothermic patients, which we did deploy multiple times and again didn't have to use it. We did some upgrades to our mission coordinator packet checklist, which just includes like a checklist and a whole bunch of resources so that it's at their fingertips in a nice, concise binder. And then we did implement an avalanche response flowchart specific this year if we get deployed for another avalanche like that we had earlier this season. You can go to the next one. So things we're already working on for 2025-26. We have been working with Air St. Luke's for an MOU specific with search and rescue. And whether that's for an avalanche or whether that's for somebody who's injured, that they could drop us at the top, we can load the patient, they can go on their way, we can get our team out, etc. It just obviously saves us so much time. Avalanche specific, we are surrounded by areas with helicopters that fly search and rescue team members and canines into all different kinds of scenes. But we're in our little bubble here with our McCall and Cascade and the ambulance services that are here as flight ambulance services. We've been talking about it for years. I've been talking about it for a lot longer than I've even been a part of SAR. And we've been close a couple times. We've done a lot of training, but we're still working on the official MOU. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll keep making good headway there. Already working on interagency avalanche rescue training. That's an 8-hour a day where everyone gets to train for specific avalanche rescue techniques together. And that should be done really every 3 years, which we did our first season. They are skills that you need to practice to keep them up to date. Just that muscle memory training. Monthly team training, which we shoot for every year. This is a big pull, and it's on the goal for this year, but we would like to do an all-team interagency avalanche scenario. I talked about that a little bit with Captain Stambaugh our second year, and it's a big. There's a lot of coordination, so it's a big push to get that to work out. So hopefully this year, this coming season, we can get that going, and then continue to grow the team, and then again, still working on communications. I always end my presentations with my personal search and rescue avalanche canine. He retired this year after serving for 10 years, working as a full-time avalanche search and rescue guy. He's only deployed once at the request of McCall Fire, but his name's Berrigan. He's a 100-pound German Shepherd, and he retired this year. So, big deal for us. And that's it.
So we had a presentation by the Pitt National Forest, and they said that they always have a helicopter on call to deploy. Have you ever worked with them, talked with them? Is that even an option? I know it does cost.
So I have talked to them. What I was told was that they are primarily summer. A lot of their ships don't stay around in the winter. They do have some short haul capability. The problem with us using them is that they won't fly us in. They will fly themselves because they're all trained specifically with their ships and their hoist and short haul capability.
Okay.
We have trained a little bit with Two Bear Air. They did say that they would be willing to drop us at sites if we need. They're just so far out. So our closest option are the air ambulances. And I've worked with Life Flight. I originally started working with them. We actually had a meeting, said the MOU was going to be signed, and then that gentleman got fired. Yeah, so, and then now we've most recently been working with Air St. Luke's because they've been up here a bunch. And it's still 40 minutes out as best case scenario, right? It's not like when they used to have a ship that stayed at the airport in McCall. But always open to
Yeah.
new venues. We've even talked to Base Camp Aviation. We've talked to a couple of guys out of Salmon. It's just not a,
Local thing.
yeah, it's not easy. It doesn't make money for them. And so the ship that we talked with Base Camp Aviation, he thought he was going to be able to keep here all winter, and now it's going to Jackson. So right now, our air ambulances are still our best opportunity. And then it's also definitive care for the patient once we put them on and they can be moving to either, whatever hospital of choice, et cetera. But
Well, that's interesting because the gentleman that was here with Payette National seemed to make it sound like it was here 365 days a year. Is that, and that they were always available for on call, granted at a charge, but
Yeah.
maybe that's something we need to do. Try to get everyone together and see if it's
yeah, and definitely
because if it is here in McCall, that would be
that's ideal, right? It would be the
Right.
first. Yeah, that's the best option for sure. Yeah.
Sometimes we can also get a mixed message. So.
Yeah, and again, it takes lots of different follow up, and it might have been 2 years since I talked to them last, and maybe their policies have changed, and so it's worth checking up with for sure.
Thank you for your presentation. This is awesome.
I'm just gonna say one comment.
You betcha, David.
Excuse me. So David Carey, unit coordinator. That's what I'm. Anyway, I just want to say thank you to you guys for taking the time to listen to us, and a little bit of huge appreciation of the sheriff department. I've been on the unit for I think over 10 years and been the unit coordinator for the last few years, and I don't think it's ever been just this connected, this smooth, very positive, which is huge. And then to your point, what do we do about education? And we try to get in front of as many people. We're at the McCall Airport. We do all the parades. We help with crowd control. So all the PSARs that are out there, we try to, and it's an educational thing as well as an assist.
Right.
Technology is amazing, and it's also a challenge, right? I mean, when we talk about the different types of calls we're getting, I don't envy dispatch and specifically Captain Stambaugh when you're making a judgment as to what we're responding to. And everything that we do comes through the sheriff's office. I assume you know that, but that's, we work through you guys through this department or this department. And it's a challenging decision-making process. And I think winter is obviously exponentially different than summer. If someone's going to stay overnight with a grandpa and a grandkid, in August, so you just, they're going to get some mosquitoes and it's going to be annoying. It's light until 10 and so on. The winter deal just changes everything so much. Dark, cold, everything is a possible emergency. Do you respond before it becomes a major emergency? Columns with phones now is crazy. Even in the middle of this winter, Apple changed their thing, and you can basically text now from anywhere. So these guys are getting things saying, yeah, my belt broke, and I'm in the middle of whatever you call it. And, you want to say take a hike, you're fine, but a broken belt in the backcountry by yourself at night at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday where somebody isn't going to find you, all of a sudden do we just respond to an emergency in 5 hours or the next day?
Yep.
So the calls are constant. The judgment calls are constant. So I think that is, like I said, it's a good thing because we can have better communication. It's not perfect, but it is challenging. So I just want to say thank you. Appreciate all that you guys have done, help with funding. The coordination with the sheriff's department is huge. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
I'd like to thank those two for doing an outstanding job and making, obviously, as you can tell, it's not the old days where we're just calling up some old timers and saying, hey, can you run out to the back country?
Yeah.
There's a ton of training, a ton of professionalism that goes into this, and I'm extremely proud of everything they've done for our community and the visitors who come to Valley County. And I would be absolutely remiss not to recognize Dave Stambaugh as the point person that is always making sure this is happening. I can guarantee you there's not many other chief deputies that are up all night long until these guys are back home safely. He stays out with them. He's either with them or he's at IC. And I don't think that can, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that as well. So thank you guys.
Appreciate it, guys.
Next, I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Jeremy Mitchell. Lieutenant Mitchell has worked very hard on the Valley County Sheriff's Office end of year annual report. And he's as you've, I'm sure, already thumbed through it, have seen what a great job he's done on it. And so I'd like to recognize him and thank you and go through it and show what we've done.
Morning, Commissioners. How are you?
Good, Jeremy. Thank you.
Good. The purpose for this annual report is to provide transparency, education, and highlight the good job that our employees are doing. So first page just kind of highlights our new brand on our patrol cars.
If you go to review, does it offer you a full page
Here's
view?
Doug.
It should pop it on down. Hold on.
We have copies.
Okay.
too.
All right. And the next page is the index of this. And then we have the sheriff message. I'll let you guys read that on your own time because that was going to take a few minutes.
What was the logo you did differently on the cars? Is that it different?
We changed up the colors.
Oh, just colors. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you have the next page, the command staff. And then under administrative investigations, I want to highlight a few things. We tracked complaints and internal affairs. Difference between the two, complaints are just the mundane complaints that come in from the community. Officer didn't like with how the officer talked to someone or deputy talked to somebody. Internal affairs is determined that there's alleged serious misconduct or policy violations that could result in termination, suspension, or wage cut. We had 4 internal investigations. 3 were determined sustained, meaning that we proved that they happened. 1 was unfounded. Under complaints, we had 8 total complaints, 5 unfounded, 1 sustained means it occurred, and 1 exonerated means it happened, but it wasn't against policy or law. We also tracked use of force. Use of force is anything more than compliant handcuffing. We had 5 use of forces last year. 1 was with the taser, 3 Archon techniques, which is defensive tactics, and 1 jail extraction.
Jail extraction.
Jail extraction. So someone didn't want to come out of a cell. So we had to make them.
That's usually they don't want to go to jail.
Under operations, I want to highlight a few things. We handled 16,337 law incidences. This is a 13% increase from the year prior.
Yeah.
Everyone's growing. Things are getting busier. Some highlights of that. We made 3,083 traffic stops, 60 arrests for possession of controlled substances. Our highest arrest is DUIs, as you can see, 51 DUI investigation arrests, 33 petty theft investigations, 29 misdemeanor batteries, 23 sex offense investigations, and 64 total felony arrests, 2024. In addition, traffic was a main focus, or not main focus, but was a focus of the sheriff's office, and we wrote 1,251 infractions for 1,445 offenses, 214 criminal citations, and 1,900 verbal warnings, 375 written warnings.
Things slow those people down.
Yeah. On the patrol page there, if you go back, Mr. Miller. we're operating with 2 teams of deputies. Each team has a sergeant. We're working towards having each shift have a sergeant, but right now we have 1 team sergeant for each side. We also have a canine narcotics that splits his time between the 2 teams. And then new for 2024, we created the canine narcotics position. This is Deputy Hodges and his canine Bailey. Something to note, they went through a lot of training. I think specifically it was 160 hours of training to be certified. And this was in thanks to Sergeant Picola, who's a master instructor and helped create this program at low cost to the sheriff's office.
How old is Bailey? See some gray on her nose. Oh, cool.
And then backcountry, kind of squared things away this last year. With backcountry, we have 2 signed deputies. As you can see in the pictures, we have the top of the line equipment, which if you compare us to other counties, we're doing very, very well in our equipment. Some things to note, they handle 208 law incidences in the backcountry and logged 1,660 hours of force patrols and 29 citations they wrote. Our investigations team, next page, is a 2-man team, and they had their work cut out for them this year, in 2024. We had the first homicide in over a decade, and this case, the guy pled guilty to homicide, and that's mostly in part to the good job that the detectives did. Also in 24, we had several large sex offense cases that were multi-jurisdictional that came to resolution that detectives handled. They also assisted in several fatality plane crashes, and in their spare time, they tracked down those selling drugs. So you can see a picture of some of the stuff that they had seized during those investigations. The Marine unit, ideally is 10 seasonal deputies. I think we're at 8 right now for this year. Last year they covered Payette and Cascade and the rivers. They were able to log 681 total incidences on the lakes and the rivers. They did 1,929 boat inspections, and I'm sure you're aware, boat inspections and patrolling, we get reimbursed for that. So the more we do, the more money we get back. They wrote 56 infractions, 7 criminal citations, and 4 of those were operating under the influence, so keeping the water safe.
Yeah, we keep getting notice these little jet boats are going up the Lake Fork Creek. And
Yeah. The mounted unit was a new thing this last year. We were able to create this mounted unit with help of Kyle Christensen, the deputy, and the Valley County Sheriff's Office Foundation funded it. I think we have 9 people that want to be on it. We have 2 horses, and they just go to events, parades. I think they're going to be deployed to Harmonica Festival this next year. So, good asset. And then we go to custody. The jail is staffed with 18 sworn deputies and 2 part-time deputies. They operate the jail 24/7. Some things to note, they had 528 bookings, and this was 23% increase from the year prior.
That's bookings from our county.
Well, that's and the IDOC
No, yeah.
inmates. So total. Yeah, average daily population was 42 per day. So up there in population. As you're probably already aware, we contract with Idaho Department of Corrections for inmate holding, and last year we billed $790,510 for that. The average cost to house an inmate is about $133. And the next page just kind of highlights the deputies in action and doing their job. There's on the left there, that's the pod where they view everything, million screens. Next page. Under custody, this last year we did 102 transports. Thanks to the new fancy dancy van that we have, we can separate inmates so we can carry more. We separate male and female. 527 releases last year from the jail. Under court services, there's 3 deputies that do court services, 1 full-time and 2 part-time. They maintain safety and security of the courthouse. Things to note, they will provide security for 2,206 court cases last year. Dispatch. Dispatch ran short last year. Even so, they handled over 40,000 phone calls into the center and dispatched for, I think, 9 total agencies. I think we noted that for Valley County, the Sheriff's Office, we handled 16,000 calls. Well, McCall PD handled 10,000 calls of service. That's usually from 1 dispatcher. Lots of work.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and they're also if we have like a crash where there's multi-agencies, EMS, fire, Sheriff's Office, they're the ones talking to everybody. They get quickly overwhelmed.
Are we still short up there? Are we?
Well, technically, as of today, we're staffed, but yeah, but they're all in training.
I follow you. Yep.
Records is the backbone of the sheriff's office. They get everything moving and going, and provide the records to the sheriff, to the prosecutor's office. They handle Department of Motor Vehicles, civil, and evidence. It's staff of 5 ladies. You can see there in that picture. DMV, they issued 3,672 driver's license last year and processed 282 concealed weapons permits. Law records, that's a big numbers in there. They're responsible for handling all records requests, which were 523. They back up 911 reports. They disseminated 656 reports, processed 1,251 infraction citations, and then the written warnings. They also monitored 37 sex offenders. In addition, they did 28 civil protection orders and entered those into the system. 43 no contact orders received and entered in the system, and 55 validation letters sent to victims in the validation system. Evidence room. We managed 326 physical pieces of evidence, 1,654 digital evidence files, returned 112 items to the owners that we brought in, destroyed 327 items, and prepared 43 evidence items for the state lab for testing.
A lot of work.
And then lastly, the civil. Not only does she handle accounts payable, but she also handles the civil part of the sheriff's office. She handled 727 civil documents and 6 sheriff sales. It's one person. And that is all that I have.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
Oh my
we were
goodness.
busy.
People need to be nice. What is the problem?
Well, as you can see, most people think the sheriff's office is just a white car going up and down the highway making a traffic stop, but there's much more, and it's more involved in that by a long shot. That one citation, that one white car, takes care of, or the physical arrest they make, as you can see, gets a ball rolling that includes a whole lot of people to get that from infancy to grave.
Yep.
And I mean, by the time it goes to the court and all the evidence, everything else. So there's a lot more than just the people you see on the road, and I think they need to be recognized for the job well done. It gets busy sometimes. It just keeps getting busier and busier, and that room upstairs in dispatch, that is incredible how busy that gets, and then that just starts filtering down through everything else. So.
When I saw that 40,000 calls, I just can't imagine.
99% of the time, there's one person. Anyway, thank you for listening, and
Thank you.
I hope it kind of opened your eyes a little bit to the total volume that's being taken care of, not just a little bit that's seen.
Yep. Thank you, Officer Mitchell.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Dave. Doug, we're going to take a real short break. We'll get rolling.
You are unmuted now.
And welcome back. Next up on our agenda for commissioners is Building Department. Annette, who is,
She emailed us this morning and said
She
she
did?
was that she was not able to attend.
I didn't see that one. In fact, I didn't get that one. Huh, interesting. So, Miss Dee Dee, Court Services, you are up.
Thank you. It's been a little while since I've been presenting because you guys' calendar's been so packed. So I might have a lot. So I'm going to go somewhat fast. I'll piggyback kind of off of what the sheriff was sharing and all of their stats to always know that there is that trickle down stream, whether it be going through the prosecutor's office next, but then it ends up on ours. Currently, I carry the caseload of pretrial. I have about 14. I think I got one more on Friday, so I'll be at 15. For the most part, 12 of them are DUIs. One is an aggravated battery. One for me is a possession of controlled substances, a felony, and then injury to animals. And then that trickles then over to the misdemeanor probation department. They carry about 100 cases between the two of them. And that leaves about 50, I'm counting, 50, 60, almost 60 of those cases are just DUIs or alcohol related. So as law enforcement was stating how much of those are DUIs and alcohol related, that kind of comes down through us. Between the both of them, they have about 8 that are drug offenses. These are all misdemeanor, not felony. Between the both of them, about 20 of them, of those cases are either violent offenses or domestic violence cases. And then just others that kind of, whether it be petty thefts or malicious injury to properties or something like that, is a small.
DUIs, that includes drugs also?
DUI is just driving under the influence. It could be of alcohol, it could be of drug, but for the most part, they're going to be alcohol for
Okay.
us. But there'll be a couple. And then just what else we have going on. I know I'm always about the blanket of prevention and education. I sit on the multiple disciplinary team for the county with the prosecutor's office. And there was a reach out for volunteers to assist with school lunches in the McCall-Donnelly School District. The MDT, multiple disciplinary team with the prosecutor's office, is a partnership with Child Protection. And I felt that we lose kids in the summer because they're not at school. And so open it up to my department to see if anyone would be interested in partnering with the school district, both in McCall and in Donnelly. It's the elementary schools, just to go serve lunches, so they can come pick up food and then go home. And that's what it is, just sack lunches for those in need. And I had some in my department that were interested in doing that. So we have a couple of hours a week that they go do that. One, it kind of keeps an eye on kids if they're in need and have that connection. Not that they're saying, hey, everything going okay at home or anything like that. They're just seeing the kids of their families and other families and just being out there. So we started that just this year. Molly kind of spearheaded that for me and is working with that. She'll do 1 day a week for an hour or so. And if they need that second, because we found that Donnelly might be having a whole lot of volunteers, so we haven't had to do that yet. And we'll be reaching to see, I don't think Cascade's doing that, but I'm going to ask and see if they're willing to do that in the years to come, because what a opportunity for kids in need and families in need. So working on that. My misdemeanor probation are also, they're involved in VCOR, and they have quite a few events coming up that they're working on all together. I don't know if you knew this, but Molly is on the board of the Community Medical Fund. So she's part of that to be able to offer services to families within our region if they can't afford prescription medication or they need dental health or they need anything medical for needy families. She's on the board that operates that for the whole community. Jacques going to be working with law enforcement. It's normal during the summertime for Jacques to do evening visits, bar checks, stuff like that with law enforcement, just to keep people honest. Last Friday I emceed the Courage to Connect event, which was, I was concerned about the weather, but even though it didn't rain a drop, those whole 3 hours we were there. And we had, I want to say 400 people attend that. It was great to see how many people came for that event. And, you know, we all felt that it was more of a local people came than just people walking through. So people stayed and really connected. It was a great event. Mr. Miller's wife was there as well. She rallied. She did a great job. Other things we have going on, all of my staff has now had their Archon update. Archon is that self-defense that law enforcement also has. Ours is just different because we don't cuff, we don't anything like that. So they have their 4 hours. I'll be doing that twice a year. I'm involved. I think you guys had a presentation from the grant, your grant writer for the county last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, about a grant he was working on for our department. Looking to get funding to support the Keep Swimming program, which we used for juveniles in the past, but we've really wanted to work it with 18 to 24, even some other adults, because once you're in recovery, some folks, once they get to that, they've been using their whole life, and they get to a place, okay, I'm clean, I got this, I'm motivated, but I have no idea what to do with this. And counseling, even though it does have its benefit, it's just different. The Keep Swimming is, now that you're moving forward, here's your strengths, here's what you can do. Now let's process what you want to do with that. So he just submitted that. We're hoping to get at least 6 participants to be able to do that. And then also we're requesting something like little workshops, because there's some participants that won't be able to give the 10, 12, 13, 14 sessions to do the whole thing. But maybe we can do their strengths list, and the instructor can come in for a couple of hours and go over what that means and start, you know, breaking loose something that they would want to do with that. So those will be shorter and smaller. But they could do probably 3 to 5 participants at a time. So a little more bang for that buck. So that's what's going to be in that grant. In the last month, I was in Boise for 3 days for council, for the Juvenile Justice Council and the Juvenile Justice Commission. In short, what those are about is bringing funding back to our community. A quick example is one of our council is going to be funding 4 juveniles from this region and a chaperone to go to the Northwest Alcohol Conference during the youth track for leadership. Really excited about that. And we're going to pay for their registration of the chaperone and the hotels for the juveniles and that chaperone to stay down in Boise. I will be presenting also at that conference. I typically help that conference, the Northwest Alcohol Conference, but I'll be presenting there as well on just engagement. It's called The Secret to Engagement, building relationships and strengthening families. And I think the last thing just to overall talk about is just partnership and collaboration. For sure, that's something that's been important to me in taking on this new role is connecting dots, bringing more money up here, strengthening what is already here for the community as a whole. And just last week, not to go over all the little connections, but last week connected Ignite Idaho with the funding support and who was offered $50,000 to support bringing collaboration just here to Cascade. So there's so much that's at that end of the valley that we're wanting to bring just right here, so people can just come and always have to drive there. So whether it be mental health, which I know there's conversation about childcare, there's conversation about mental health services, senior assistance, all coming down here. And so kind of collaborate. How do we all do this together? Because if I have access to fund, how can we bring it all together, not just do one here, one there, and try to do it as a collective? So that's just something I'm working on. So
Dee Dee, do you feel that we should have, your court services all up there in the old annex? Do you feel you need a satellite unit down here?
of my office, because my officers, 85% of their caseload is that end.
Mm-hmm.
Having that as our primary is most beneficial for the clients, for the safety of this community, everything.
Sure.
With that said, we are down here. So, and we're able to access any of the offices in this building at any time. So I feel like that's fulfilled. And I have not received any calls from this community saying we wish we had more, save one, and that's for drug testing. And that's something our department can do, is to come down here as we have more, like I think right now we only have like a handful of clients at this end of the valley, that if we need to set up hours just for drug testing, absolutely we could do that. But we could do that in this building and we can do that in the jail and not necessarily having a specific place that's just us. Because
No,
truly, if we
that's-
did that, we'd be heading that direction more.
Yeah, I was just asking the question, you know.
It's a fair question, it's been
The
asked
need
for years.
arises, yeah.
Yep, if it continues to come up of the importance of us being here. If it is needed more, then absolutely let's have a bigger conversation about it. But as for the need, most of everything's at that end of the valley. And if there's something that's in here, we'll come down here. We're here for court.
Right.
I'm down here every, at least once a week. And I actually have like 3 clients that are from other jurisdictions who are needing drug testing here. So I'm met with some on Friday. I'll meet with some more today, and I might collectively between those few say I'm going to come down on these days, and we can do drug testing for you folks on these days. So it's we'll bend.
Okay.
But truly, as there's more partners and community connections, that kind of stuff down here, that just helps then those that are down here connect with those. But I don't think our presence needs to be here to do that. Just me as the director having the connections to bring that together. But I travel easy.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions?
Good. Thank you, Dee Dee.
Betcha.
Have a good day. Miss Melissa, Extension Office.
Yeah, so I'm just going to do a few announcements and then I'll pass the mic over to Allison Stats to report on 4-H programming. 3 programs are coming up this weekend. So I have the UI intern going to the Kaleidoscope Festival. We have a chainsaw workshop that I need to check registration numbers on. And that's someone coming from the College of Natural Resources at the Moscow. And then I have Master Gardeners going to Alpha Days. And then this week I'll be presenting to my peers in Caldwell at a district meeting. And that's a snapshot of the past 5 years and the work that I've done in Extension. And I'm happy to put together a presentation on behalf of the office, and I can schedule that with Doug. And then the last announcement is that I'm just coming back into the office, getting my feet under me. But I was able to present nationally at the Community Development Extension Professionals Conference, and I was presenting on working with community gardens throughout the community. So mostly Pride of the Pantry Plots and Bienvenidos being the emphasis of Extension's role and the role that those play in communities and helping residents. And yeah, so thank you.
Oh, good.
I'll go ahead and give the rest.
I'll be pretty brief as well. You've had a big morning. Just off and running, filling as many spots as I can to keep some of those obligations going. Not too crazy. There's some things I had to let go of, but finished 6 camps. One was Operation Military Kids, which I love to help with. They do it once a year. Their funding got cut, so they went from 116 kids to 36. But still, the camp was a success. That one was in Donnelly. The other summer camps were in Cascade. Due to time restraints, I wasn't able to do the McCall Fly-In this year. Maybe next year. That's fun to set up an event, non-traditional 4-H events there. We had a great swine clinic last Wednesday, and it was really helpful, educational to a lot of our new youth.
What kind of clinic?
Swine, so pigs.
Oh,
At a
big.
clinic. I know it's kind of a random. I know, right? All the things that we talk about in a day, I can only wonder. But for us in that world, that was pretty helpful. It was really well attended. I think there was almost 50 people in attendance. And Cheyenne from Canyon County, she's an ag specialist there, came up to help. Then let's see, we had oral presentations on that same day as well. And that's the kids give their demonstrations at a county level to go on to state. We'll have more of those this Friday, and I'll be working with Fair Board. I'll be here at 3 this afternoon for our piece, and getting repairs rolling. Pretty much my focus is shifting just to whatever I need to do or what we can do down there to make those facilities function well.
Right.
So that'll be a bigger conversation today.
Yeah, we'll get Scott in on that.
Yeah, some electrical work we just found too, so I need to I know, I've got like a little list of better things that pop up that you can't always
It just
plan
does.
for. Yeah, down there especially, so,
Good.
okay.
Thank you, Melissa. Or
Allison.
Allison. You're mixed up. All right, Mike, I believe, is in a meeting. I believe that's what he just said. So next would be Jeremy Wilcox, and there he is. Ooh, he got a haircut like I did.
I don't know what you're talking about. Good morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
There's a few things. I know it's been a couple of weeks, but some of the things I got going on the front door for the annex for the card access is going to be done today.
I got a question on that. Putting a card access on the front door of the annex, and that's going to be a public entrance. How's that going to work?
So it'll work just like the front door over here does.
Right?
So we'll put it on a schedule. So whatever Monday through Friday, whatever the hours are, it'll just automatically unlock and then lock.
Okay. So it'll just be on a timer set up. You don't have to do the card swipe.
Nope.
So the public goes in and out. Okay. That was just my question. I saw it in the budget, approvals, and so I was curious on that because I was thinking it was the card swipe, but it's just the security.
It is
part.
for like after hours
Sure.
and such like that, and so it can stay secure while they're doing the construction. We can give the contractors badges for that time period or whatever, so we don't have to cut any keys or have them floating around out there or anything like that.
Right.
But once everything's done and the people are moved in, it'll just be on a schedule, just like the front door here is.
Okay. Thank you.
So, the email domain migration is done. We did the last group this morning, so that should be all good to go. We're going to clean up anything that we may have missed, which is mostly just the Teams groups and stuff that we just got to change manually that don't affect anything. So we'll give that a little while to settle down, and then we'll start changing the other stuff like our website, changing that to be valleycountyid.gov instead of co.valleyid.us. And so that'll be the next steps there. And then really other than that, I've just been working on, finalizing budget stuff. Kind of getting all of the stuff together for the networking for the annex, since I know that once construction is done, they'll probably want to get moved in pretty quick. So get all that done. We budget for 4 cameras for the jail for the civil area that they're going to do in August. That was budgeted for this year, so just some of those things. And I will be, I know Commissioner Maupin isn't here, I'll send her an email, but I'll also be on vacation after Wednesday for a few days, so we'll be here most of next week.
So we'll be, I saw their schedule and their contract. They're hoping to be done with the annex construction by September 15th.
Oh, okay.
And no later than the end of September. So that.
I wasn't sure how long it was going to take. I didn't know if it was going to take a month or 3 months or.
Yeah, that's what they're shooting for being done, getting people moved over there. So that you'll know your timeline for having to.
Yeah, that should be plenty of time to have everything ready to go.
Yep. Okay, cool. Got a game plan anyhow.
Yep.
Enjoy your vacation.
I will. Unless you have any questions for me, that's all I have.
I don't.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Jeremy. Planning and zoning, Miss Cinda.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Good. So, we've been working to get the software chosen, the new program, to replace Tyler. And my team and I, we've watched it a couple times, and we've also reached out to other jurisdictions and talked to their employees about how it works and functions for them, and what benefits it would have for building and what benefits it has for P&Z and things like that. The next one is scheduled for today at 1. And I will have my team watching it.
So is
I
Tyler,
just found out.
Which one is it today?
Today it's Civic Plus.
Is this one that you've watched before?
I've watched from the person trying to sell it to us, but we actually reached out to people that actually use it and are talking to them about how it functions, and they show us, you know, they can, we use MS Teams, and they can get us into the system and show us actual documents and things like that.
it's
so
more
we get a good feel.
more user friendly for you folks? I mean,
Tyler is, in fact, a number of them used to use Tyler because
Really?
it does not function for us.
oh,
They have
Too
abandoned
much
it.
clicking, right?
Huh?
Said too much clicking?
My finger, just talking about it, gets sore. But,
I know the building department struggled with it too, so
Right.
I get it.
but we never implemented it for P&Z because the logic of it does not work for us.
Oh my goodness, I wasn't aware of any of that.
Yeah, no, we did not. We use it for short-term rentals under the business license, and we use it for our placement permits, but not our other applications and permits.
Have you? I mean, I'm sure you've been talking to Jeremy about that.
Oh, yes, Jeremy's deeply involved with us.
Yeah, okay.
I just want to give you an update that we are trying to work through that. The comp plan, I am so excited. After 3 years, about 3 years, we have a draft that we're ready to distribute to the P&Z Commission to see if they want another work session. The only thing I have to change is, I think it was yesterday, the Valley County Pathways sent us some updated information. I want to change that in the plan, and then we're going to get it sent out to the P&Z. Hopefully, we can have a public hearing in August is our goal. And you know, it's not a total rewrite. It's just an update to it.
Mm-hmm.
We updated information. We included some of the stuff from the things we've been doing.
Is this something you have to do every 10 years?
I think it's every 5 years you're supposed to update it.
Okay.
And we haven't done it since 2018.
Okay.
We've made a few changes here and there. This is a more thorough examination of it.
Awesome.
We started 3 years ago, you know, bringing in people from Central District Health, DEQ, fire departments, Soil Conservation District. I mean, they brought in a lot of people and talked to them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
so that hopefully will get done. With the APA Commission, a gentleman reached out last week, and they do a presentation workshop. It's called Ties to the Land. It's something like, are you aware of it? And they come in and work with families on long-term planning and retention of forest lands, and we want to adapt it to farmlands and ranch lands, you know, to meet our goals of the Agricultural Protection Area Committee. So hopefully we can have that workshop probably next fall, but I'll run that through the APA Commission. They think that they can get some funding from maybe Farm Bureau or somebody else, and then we'll be inviting people to attend that,
Awesome.
and hopefully it will be productive. Impact areas are going along. We're working through that. Should have a staff report prepared beginning of next week for your July 7th hearing.
Well, it's coming up pretty soon.
And we have that ordinance written and noticed for the McCall impact area.
Right.
Because we've already gotten the Cascade and Donnelly done. And then with that, it was mentioned last week that we should ask to have our PTO paid out to us if we're going to lose it, because Lori and I are both long-term employees and we haven't been able to use our vacation time because of the additional workload. And I see that this transition you know, we've been asked not to take vacation, which we are not taking any vacations. I think Lori has a couple days scheduled off to see all of this stuff through. So I would like to ask that my personal time off and Lori's personal time off, if we aren't able to use it, is paid out.
Until when? Let's put a date on it.
Let's just
October 31?
we could do October 31, see how the whole transition thing is going. And see if we're still, I mean, because just the current applications, we're extremely busy right now too. And see how that goes and see what if the workload increases, kind of maintains the same.
Yep.
Okay.
I would move that we approve the request for personal time off payout with an end date of October 31, 2025.
I'd second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we should have a pretty good idea by then how things are gonna work out. And we should have the comp plan adopted. Well, we still have to do the ordinances
Right.
for the implementation of the comp plan.
And were you gonna bring us an action item for P and Z tablets? Based off their request?
I will. Let me continue to talk to Jeremy about that. And I have a question out to legal about, because most of them have their own computers and are willing to use those. But I need to find out if they're going to have county emails, if we're just going to send them massive emails to their private, personal email addresses. I mean, so I've got an email out to
Yeah, you better get a hold of Jeremy on that one.
I know she's been discussing with Jeremy, but I think if it's something planning and zoning wanting, we need to move it through sooner rather than later.
Yeah, there was only one person that didn't want the comp plan electronically to review it.
I would like mine all paper copies still.
Mm-hmm. I'm the same way.
So anyway, we'll see how it goes. We need to figure out how we're going to send that to them, because they're massive files. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're working with legal on that one, and of course Jeremy. Lots of stuff going on.
2
Busy
weeks
year.
till our public hearing.
Yes.
So to go any further after July 7th, to go any further on the AOI and McCall, we have to have our comp plan completed. Is that correct?
No.
No.
No, the way it is kind of playing out is all you're doing July 7th is adjusting the boundary.
Right.
Okay.
I'm aware of that.
And the existing comprehensive plan and ordinances in that area will continue to apply until we do a comp plan amendment and zone change, which is why we're moving this comp plan, because then we can do our zone change.
Okay.
Okay?
Just asking the question.
It's gonna be a bunch of steps that need to be sequenced properly.
Right. Appreciate your hard work on that.
We are working diligently on it. So, thanks.
Thank you, Cinda. Okay, so we got a break at 10:30. Don't have you guys up till 10:45.
Can we, since Scott and Terry are both here, can we?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, that's your call. There's no action items, if you would like them to present early. that
You
would-
guys, since you guys are already here, you want to go ahead and present?
I didn't take a break after before we go.
Agree.
Morning.
Good morning.
Let's start off with the bad news right at the moment. We don't have a boiler right now. So it happened to coincide right with our little cold spell. We don't have a backup one right now. and the part won't be in till Wednesday, and get it maybe going Thursday
Is that here or over there?
over there.
How cold is it in there?
Right now, the temperatures are maintaining tolerable. I mean, we're still in, the 68-degree range and stuff. So I shut off the cooling tower, and I've been just trying to keep all the heat off the heat pumps is what I've been trying to do right now. But that's one of the things that I'm not sure. I have to talk with Clerk Miller what if the CIP, for a new boiler has been approved, or when it is approved, or if it is approved, because I'd like to get a request for proposal out as soon as we can. So then October 1st, when the funds are available, get it in before winter comes, because we have this type of situation when we're single digit. It won't bode well for the jail or the courthouse.
Commissioners, not to interrupt Scott, but if there's an emergency situation of such as this, he has the ability, if it's within his budget now, to make the purchase or to go out for an RFP now.
Yeah.
The commissioners can provide some direction to him, but from my perspective opinion, I believe that we should move forward at looking at replacing this now, or purchasing a backup now.
Because I budget, I don't have enough left to do it and do some remaining projects for the year, I don't believe.
So what didn't you talk to us a week or two ago about that? You can't hardly get parts for that thing anymore.
Well, that's the thing, our old one is not repairable. I mean, it is the original boiler.
Right.
And the ignition module, and it has all the controls, flame sensors and stuff, is just not available for it, or they can't come up with an aftermarket. So at this point, and what we've lost now on the new boiler, it looks like the flow switch that tells it's got flow through it has failed. And so Page Mechanical has one on order, and it's supposed to be in. And a tech will be up on Thursday to replace it, and it'll be back up.
Is that a part that breaks frequently?
Not really. It's it's just it's a paddle under there that the water hits, and it makes a switch up on top until it has flow. It's kind of unusual that it actually has, because they generally don't. But it's something we may look to keep one on hand. Also, there's also a flow sensor or a low water sensor, and if it's possibly if that's just gone bad, and that's why it's giving us the low water code when it shuts off. Maybe a couple of things we want to keep on hand, so they're a quick change out.
Do we have? I know the old boiler is sitting there. Do we have another redundant one beside it, or is
Well, that's what we have. That's the one, because we put in a backup boiler. Because when I came here, you only had the old boiler.
that was it?
That was it. There was no redundancy whatsoever. So we put this one in 3 years ago, is what we did. And like I say, it's mechanical. It's like anything else. It's got electronics and things that, and it's one of these things that nobody stocks parts. I mean, everything's got to be ordered. It's got a week to 10-day or 2-week, even longer, time to get it in. This seems to be a pretty quick turnaround from last week when I called about it. But right now, I mean, if we hadn't had this cold spell that came in, it probably wouldn't even be an issue. But if this happens in the middle of the winter, when we're, either having below zero or even, 20, 30-degree days, it would be an issue.
What's the timeline on getting a new boiler after the RFP goes out?
I'd have to ask. Well, it depends on who gets it. Page gave us a bid on it just to kind of give us a number for the RFP, and looking like about $120,000 to buy one and install it.
And what's the timeline to buy it and install it?
Generally, it can be 4 to 6 weeks to get one and stuff.
So I guess in clerk, tell me if I'm wrong. This would have to be an action item, correct?
That's
By
correct.
all the commissioners. So my recommendation would be get the RFP ready to go.
Yeah.
So the moment that And then if you bring it to the commissioners as an action item that it's an emergency, then the RFP is ready to go out that day.
Yeah.
Or if it's approved through CIP, if we wait until that process, then the RFP can go out.
Yeah,
that
that's
way.
what I want to get. Yeah, that's if we know the CIP is going to be approved and the money is available October 1st, it still gives us time to get it in before, because we have to crane it in and everything else, because everything that goes up in that mechanical room has to go through a door on the north end of it up there. So
It's up on top.
yeah, because the mechanical room sits on top of the jail.
I don't know that we would want to wait if it's 4 to 6 weeks to put out the RFP till October 1 though.
No, I want to put the RFP. So as of October 1st, it's already been awarded, and we could start work. You know, because the money, we know it's available.
Seems like it's an emergency situation. I mean, we can have freezing days in August, so
Yeah.
bring it to the commissioners as an action item.
Like I say, I don't have it in my budget to do it now. Because I still got some other projects, concrete up at the north, annex or McCall annex and stuff. I'd like to try to get this parking lot across the road seal coated and striped and stuff to keep it, so it'll last a little longer, especially with the saw cuts and stuff we've done in it. And I can't think. I just don't believe I have enough to cover it without making my budget go over.
Well, would we take that out of?
There's alternative funding sources, commissioners. We could use PILT. You could use general fund reserve, as well as the facilities budget. But of course, that would be a commissioner's determination of where the funding should come from. Those would be other options.
Can we combine them, like use a portion of facilities and PILT or general? Yeah, I mean, that would be something possibly, we go that route, because I would still have enough funds to cover anything that comes up, plus, projects, like I say, we've already, the bid for the concretes with legal right now, and stuff, so.
Okay. Well, this
Really, October 1's only 12 weeks away.
it's not very far away.
So-
Yeah. But that's a priority. We got to get that.
Okay.
We can't have that. So yeah, bring that to us.
Okay, I'll get a request for proposal written up and.
Is this something you could have to us next week or?
I won't be here next week.
Oh,
So,
That- anytime in July.
I can have the following week, we can get it, get the scope of work and
that works.
stuff, drawn up for it.
Okay.
So, we'll go on to, we poured more concrete. On Juneteenth, they poured the retaining wall and stuff for the Z wall up at the transfer site. They also did the footer and anchor for we have a 20-foot retaining wall going in. They've graded the road up to the upper deck and put the reclaimed asphalt down, so that road improvement's done. And they have they're working on the temporary loading site. I have approved some other change orders. We have change order 3, which combined several of them. It's to open up the front, do away with the center post in it, so we don't have that there anymore.
So they're going to
Yeah,
put a
just
header
be
across
open.
the
Yeah,
whole
they
thing.
won't be pushing trash against it. So we have that. We have
Nice.
replacing some of the girts up over 10 feet that are damaged, and we're moving the fueling station from the east side of the building around to the west side now. We're going to reclaim everything there. We're going to lift the top off. Pour a pad and then put the eco blocks back and put the top back on it. That change order with all 3 of those, opening up the front, moving the fuel, and replacing the girt was $34,522. Then our temporary pad up there was $38,285, but that is going to change because I doubled the size of it. Because they had a 50 by 50, and when we were looking at that, that was not going to handle it. So it's now 45 by 92 feet long, and it'll have what they're doing right now, they've already got the liner in it. They sent me pictures. They've dug it down. There's 4 foot of sand. Then the EPDM liner in there, which comes up and goes over the sides. There'll be another 4 inches of sand and 18 inches of packed road mix on top of that. And it'll be lined with at least one row all the way around, then 75 foot north and south, up to 3, and then 3 across the back. We're going to build a raised area up to the top of the 3 eco blocks in the back for the excavator to sit on to load the trailers, because they can't reach it from the ground and do it.
Oh, so they just sit up there and reach down.
Yeah, and they'll push to him, and he'll reach and turn and put it up there. Where it's actually at, it's running north and south, kind of where the metal pile and where the woody debris pile is. That was all cleaned out, got all cleaned up, and they'll come down the west side of it, go around the south end, come up to the east side, and then back in, load, and then go back out. So our traffic pattern will be kind of a circle around it.
Big circle around
And
it.
they'll load on the back side. Pacific's supposed to be up this week, get the metal pile cleaned up, so it'll kind of give us some more room. We have combined the C and D pile and the woody debris because they're all getting ground. Having these 2 separate piles didn't make any sense anymore, so we're just combining those 2. So
Will the, say if we get it ground and say an outfit like Tamarack wants to take it, they don't mind the C and D being mixed in with the
no,
woody?
that's where it all went.
They don't care.
No, they don't. It's hog fuel.
Okay.
We don't have the contaminants in it. I don't know if it really would matter of like the pressure treated, painted, stained, the melamine they make cabinets with.
Yep.
The grinder did say the girls have been doing a great job of keeping the stuff clean this year. And did talk with Terry. They're looking at getting another person now for up there to monitor it, and getting a special loader. The guy that ground the wood suggested getting a loader than an excavator. They have a loader that has a different type of bucket that goes up and tips, and they can stack it higher. And so I think they have one of those located, Terry was saying.
Good.
So
It's good to have somebody up on
yeah,
other side.
then the only other change order was the snow roofs that were on the entrance and exit that we took off because they just poured them on top of the asphalt. They weren't even attached to the buildings even. So that's 18,000. That's with taking them off, pouring footers. They're going to sandblast the columns and repaint those, and then putting it back on. And so at least they're anchored down now. They're not just 2 foot 2 by 12-inch thick concrete sitting on top of the asphalt.
So what's the total of all our change orders so
Total
far?
of the 3 was $91,073.98.
Well, we knew it was coming.
Yeah, and the thing with the temporary pad, we didn't, till DEQ approve, we didn't really know what it was going to be, so that's why we, didn't have anything, kind of budgeted for it. And like I say, then when I got there and looked at it, going, man, 50 by 50 just is not going to cut it. I mean, that won't handle half a day's load and stuff. So I did. So that price is going to increase on that one and stuff. Other than that, I think that's all I've got right at the moment.
Appreciate it, Scott. It's, how's Miss Terry doing? Getting your feet wet?
Oh, yeah. Exciting.
Got her. She's able to get. We got a computer set up in the back of the office. There was a desk, so she's got her own computer now and stuff. So.
And you had mentioned that you're using your personal cell phone. You're going to ask for reimbursement on that?
I might. I'm used to at Gowan. I use my personal phone for everything. I mean, it was just on me, so it's a lot easier.
Clerk can tell you the specifics to that.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Okay.
Yep. We're all good. We're set up. We're ready.
How do we do the change orders through the county? Is this something that comes through the contractor?
That would be my recommendations, Mr. Chairman, is that any change orders are reviewed by our engineering firm, Great West Engineering. Then they ultimately sign off on them and then present them to the commissioners for payment.
Okay.
But I don't know what the current system
See,
is.
I got approval to up to 150,000. I can approve them. I just have to let you guys know about them. Was my understanding.
Okay.
So
Well, if that's what agreement you have, we're good with that.
yeah, and it's only good for this project.
project.
It's not anything down the road. It's just specific for this project.
Okay.
Is what we did.
Do you run it by the engineer to make sure?
Oh yeah, the process is it gets kind of a lot of paperwork. Dalrymple Construction puts a request for a change order in. It goes to Great West. Great West puts it on their form, or Darwell sends it to me and to them. The request. I sign the request. Then it goes to the engineering, and then they put, like I say, it goes on to their paperwork, then comes back once they've approved it, and we've gotten everything justified that it is necessary, and all the engineering's been done on it. Then Dalrymple signs on, Great West, I sign it, and then Great West Engineer signs off on it.
Okay.
But,
Just
so yeah,
asking the question. I appreciate that.
yeah, it kind of turns into a lot of emails back and forth and paperwork before it gets all approved.
No, I'm used to that process. So
Yeah.
I know what you're having to deal with.
Yeah, I did put in a legal request for washers and the 50-pound washers and dryers. It's at 21,000 installed. Other than Alliance's contract has hit a snag, so because I've never seen a contractor send a contract in Word form, and so PA's office always wants it in Word form, and people don't send you it in Word form. So I've got to go back and request and see if they have one or if they will even do it. I know a couple of years ago with Cummins on generators, they just said, we ain't going to do it, so I got to see if I can get that through because they badly need new washers and dryers in there.
Oh yeah. I was down at the Anobo hotel a few days ago, renting some rooms for our Friends of NRA event, and you're standing at the desk and the washer dryers are right there through the door, and they had them open, and I looked at them. It's like, oh yeah, that's the same thing Scott's looking for.
Yeah, these are called Unimac. They're not what you'll get in your laundromat, even the bigger. These are actually for like hospitals, nursing homes. They do 50 pounds a piece is what they'll do, and they feel that they will handle what they need over there. I do have to get a gas line run. I'm waiting for a bid back because my first one was through the roof, and I need to run gas piping. So
you knew.
So I have an idea what it's cost, but I was shocked. It was totally outrageous. So I'm waiting for a second bid on that, but I'd like to try and get that done. They have it in their capital improvement to buy them. I may have to kick some in and stuff, but it's I'd really like to try and get those done for them.
So the people you buy them from, are they going to install them also?
Yes, Alliance, yeah.
They'll do the whole.
Yeah, they'll come in. We just have to get the gas line connection there for them, and then they'll do the installation.
Good. Anything else?
Nope. Not till I get out the door, then I'll think of something. You know how it goes, So, anyway.
She getting overwhelmed yet?
I think so. She's been in government for a long time, so.
She understands that
Yeah.
paper trail end of things.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Well, good.
I think we'll probably come back, I think at 3 o'clock, have a workshop with the fair board, so I kind of like to hear what their direction they're going, if there's anything they need from us. stuff, so,
We will see you then.
okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys. And Clerk Miller, let's take us a little break until, let's see.
Mackenzie will be
Mackenzie's not on till.
She'll be on at 11:15. She's
11:15.
appearing virtually today.
Okay.